that's almost more important, how you're targeting. So you kind of have to be like, depends where you are organizationally. Are you good on operational stuff? Like maybe you'll have more chance of success in Google because that's a big advantage there, just because you can't like do all of the stuff with images. Like, yes, you can getting into like YouTube and like display ads and all of that, but just generally search intent. While on Facebook, there's just so much variety of who it's working for or not, where you have like these big spenders that are spending tens of thousands of dollars like per day on Facebook ads. And sometimes it's like 3 or 5 campaigns. And for some, it's like 50 campaigns. So there's like this big variability of making it work. And it's all about like, sometimes it's the creative, sometimes it's the targeting or the funnel. So you have to first, like the bigger picture, see like, do you need Google or Facebook? And even like more importantly, there's all these other channels in 2021. Do you need a diversification as a way to make others effective? Not as like a protecting your Amazon brand at diversifying, but it's more about, can you make your funnels more effective of diversifying for that reason? So now it's a different way why you need to think about trying other channels. So that's kind of like bigger picture before getting into like numbers or tactics, what you want to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot in terms of, people are scared away. Early on was, Facebook. Now people are very scared away with Google and things like that, just because, if you're not an ad person, diving into those dashboards can be really overwhelming. Same thing with PPC, right? People, that's like one of the biggest pain points with so many people on Amazon. So in terms of that, are are you still working with clients, or are you just doing software stuff exclusively?
Mostly software. Anything outside of software, it's got more into like custom development, because I realized that through the software, there's so many brands that are doing different things. Like half of the features I've been launching over the years, most brands don't use them. Only a very small percentage do, and they like take it and run with it because it's like advanced. And then there's kind of like the part about, you have a software and you have to make content and like get case studies and like build it out for everybody to use it. But for me, I'm like prioritizing where coming out with new features and then seeing like which brands are using the different features. So I realized that kind of have to do like the broader and deeper approach somehow at the same time. It's like focus versus not focus. So it's been more just like taking feedback from brands, but building it where I just care about what that one brand wants, because they've maximized a certain feature where like, sometimes I have like just nerdy videos about geeking out about something for an hour, and it's where 99% of the brands, they're like, you probably actually don't even need it because just focus on the simpler stuff. But some brands, they're like, this is exactly what we figured out we want to do. So how can we automate that even more or scale it up even more? So it's gotten more into like this custom stuff where that leads to like, well, that's more effort, engineering resources. So then it has to make me think on a different level where, like a $100 per month software subscription, like that's not going to cover when there's so much time going for one brand. So it's making me think like, what, like a lot of these Amazon brands, they're some of them are growing like 2x, some are just growing by 10%. So what are those differences? And a lot of times it's either like confidence in investing in more marketing or having better processes, or it's some sort of partnerships, whether it's on the marketing side or financial side. So it's been kind of like forcing me to like learn these areas that I don't know, is how can I like build software and like not have the brand pay anything, because I'm incentivized more on like their future benefit. And there's different ways of doing that, like not necessarily like equity, but different like partnerships of having a brand amplify. So I'm thinking from everything from a software perspective, like how things can be scaled and automated, originally starting out from a manual way of doing something uniquely. And then from kind of like a business perspective, more about how can the brand benefit, just like a win-win scenario where I can connect them with another brand or traffic asset or software feature that it's like a missing piece for them, and it'll like help them grow more like double as opposed to just a 10% increase, because the 10% increase, that's just like internal slow learning over time. That's going to happen naturally if you're testing.
Yeah, how did you discover, the opportunity to work with, primarily Amazon sellers and helping them bridge the gap of those external ads? Like, how did you discover like, hey, this would be a really great business to get into. This is the best software to build for me. Like, how did that come about? Because it doesn't seem like it's a natural progression. It almost seems like it's more like, okay, you should be doing this and you're not doing it. And, almost like you have to educate people on that. I know Andy and I always talk about external traffic and building out those external channels. But how did you get into this opportunity versus like maybe, starting selling on Amazon and discovering it that way?
Yeah, well, like the answer would be more like when I started versus like now, because these opportunities are always happening and you have to decide like where you are of like what to focus on, what to scale. And there's two parts. There's like a business reason behind it and more like a mental or mindset reason, where one, you have to be ready for a change. So originally it was doing marketing for a brand. This was for HeroClip. Like it was an internal problem where just like external marketing, it was working, but we were barely scaling it because of the tracking issue. So it was kind of like doing it for ourselves, and like building the software was on the side. So that was more like my mental learning, where like I figured out how to do it manually. We're using it inside the company. It's working, but I need to like take my own risk, not just being part of a company where like, all right, this is actually a software, like it'll grow. So it's me taking the step of turning it into my own business. Over time, relating that how now there's like more